The history of Beck Park starts during the summer of 1909, when Sidney M. Schoenberg and Morin J. May of the Schoenberg Mercantile Company bought a 125-acre plot of land at 84 Lewis Road in Eureka for $35,000. After spending a summer building resort buildings, including the main building, a two-story structure built for $50,000, the resort had a grand opening on June 5, 1910. An interesting fact is 61 years later on that very same date, Six Flags over Mid-America opened in Eureka. In 1942, the resort sadly closed due to complications with World War II. After sitting abandoned for 10 years, Vernon and Lola Beck bought the property in 1952 and made several changes to the property, including turning the tennis courts into rifle ranges, renting out the cabins on South Lewis Road, and building the game room addition to the main building. They used the grounds for a summer home and a party spot for their friends, until Vernon's death in 1965. After he died, Lola brought in her best friend Nova Meadows to live with her at the summer home. After Nova Meadows moved in, Lola stopped renting out the cabins on South Lewis Road, and they fell into disrepair. Lola and Nova happily lived together until Lola's death from natural causes in 1982. After Lola died, Nova stayed there until a massive fire burned the building down in 1984. In fact, 40 years ago this month. After the main building burned down in 1984, the remaining ruins were demolished to make the area more beautiful and safer. In 1996, Jefferson County bought the property from St. Louis County for $20,000. A year later, Beck Park formally opens as a public park. After driving down the hill on South Lewis, the first thing you'll encounter is this neat bridge over Antire Creek. Built in 1912, it is not private like the sign says. The sign only applies to the Boland Farm and the Claverledge Farm. The entirety of South Lewis is public except for when it meets the white fence of the Claverledge Farm. After that, it becomes private. The bridge is a Pratt Pony Truss and was built by Stupp Brothers Bridge and Iron Company of St. Louis. The bridge only has a 3-ton weight limit, and it's been like that for many years due to its age. In fact, its weight limit is the reason why the main building burned to the ground. It could not handle the big fire tankers, and they could not cross safely without collapsing it. The first ruin you'll encounter at the top of the hill is this old swimming pool. It was likely built in the 1950s and was used until 1982 when a huge crack formed in the deep end and it could no longer be filled. After it was drained for the final time, Nova Meadows' grandkids used to play kickball and other games in it. The next ruin is the staircase. Constructed from 1909 to 1910, it led to the porch of the main building. After the fire burned the main building down in 1984, the stairs fell into disuse. They can be accessed by walking up the hill from the pool, and can be seen from the pool itself. The next ruin is this pile of bricks, located directly behind the main staircase. This pile of bricks was once the main fireplace. It was sandy blonde color and was 2 stories high. The first story was the living room and the main bedroom behind it. The second story was a foyer with rooms for resort goers in front of it and the staircase to the second floor behind it. The next ruin is this creepy looking structure. Located at the back of the main building, it was built from 1909 to 1910 as a root cellar. It originally had a wooden door at the front of it, and the main building's wall began a few feet from its entrance. The next ruin is all that remains of the game room. This 1-story addition to the main building was constructed in the 1950s by the Becks. The original purpose was to house all of Vernon Beck's big game trophies that he collected from hunting overseas. There were taxidermy, pictures, fine china that he brought back for his wife. All of it was stored in this room. The next ruins are the tennis courts. These were a popular attraction at the resort and had 3 different layers. The one pictured is the second. Once in a while, Famous and Bar would have tournaments between different department stores in St. Louis. The final ruin in the main section of park is the old pumping station. This is the sole surviving structure from the resort days and was constructed from 1909 to 1910. It functioned using a system of clay pipes that fed it water from the Merrimack. The pumping station once had two separate roofs, one over the reservoir and one over the control area. Both roofs collapsed about 20 years ago and left the inside open to the elements. This view is of South Louis Road. The road is public up until the Claverledge Farms White Gate, after which it becomes private. On the left side are ruins of the resort days of Beck. You have an old pool, foundations of the cabins, an abandoned car, and a road up to the top of the hill, where there's a neat rock formation. This is the beautiful Beck riverfront. When the resort was still active, this was a very popular place, with several boat docks lined up against the riverbank, and hundreds of swimmers every weekend. After the resort closed, the riverbank fell into disuse, and is now quiet compared to what it used to be. I just want to let you guys listen to the river for a little bit. It is so beautiful at this spot.